Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to Kottabos Space Program, where today we are having a look at yet another wonderful mod, this time in the form of HabTech, which is being made by forum user Benji10. And what this glorious little piece of work is looking to add into the game is a selection of stock-alike parts for space station construction, which is what really first grabbed me about this particular mod, as I love space station parts. But what sold me on it is the fact that all of the parts are designed to replicate the US modules of the International Space Station, which just makes me happy, as I adore when mods take real-world spacecraft and Kerbalize them so that they feel more at home in this wonderful game. So let's just jump right on into the VAB and have a look at what all this mod does offer us. And we'll start by grabbing, since this is a space station parts pack, we'll grab the cupola module, as that feels more at home at a space station, and then go and use my favorite new feature in 1.1 of this game. The search bar. I just need to paste in HabTech and bam! I got all my mod parts. I love this feature, as it makes my life so much easier for making these videos. And we'll start off by looking at the one and only command pod for this particular mod, and then we'll just go back up to the top and work our way down. But I want to look at this first because I grabbed the base game cupola module. This also has its own observation cupola module, which if we grab, you can see is a heck of a lot smaller. This is actually the one thing that actually bothers me about this particular mod. This cupola module here seems far too tiny. It's minuscule, but beyond that, it is a standard command pod with a maximum crew of one person, and of course a minimum crew of one person as well, and it does hold 200 electric charge, 10 monopropellant. It has the standard crew report, but what's fun is it also has a new experiment in take photographs, which is quite nice. And of course, you guys know me, I'm a sucker for animations. You right click, you can open the shutters. And that alone makes me like this more than the standard cupola module. It has freaking shutters. Look at that. That's just wonderful. I enjoy that far more than I should. And as I said, just my only problem with it, it just seems way too small. But oh well, let's move on to the other parts in the mod. So we'll go back up to the top now, and actually let's move this out of the way for the time being so we can see these other parts, and we'll start with the docking port, which is, well, a docking port. It fits quite nicely onto the vast majority of your different standard modules in the main command pods for the game, and yeah, it's just a nice little docking port. Very lovely, very well designed. We then have, actually we'll look at this one next, a berthing connector, which is designed more for connecting your different space station parts, as it is a much larger basically docking port. That is effectively what it is, but it's just a little bit larger to give you that I guess better of a hold. Very nice though indeed. We then have our first of the different crew modules, which is a biology laboratory, which as you can see has a lot of experiments. We have a cell biology observations experiment, a physiological test experiment, a crew report, and then of course it is a science lab, so it has to have 2 crew required, and it has data storage of 500, and is a fairly large part. There we go. It is in the 2.5 meter size variety, and it's just a pretty standard little module, but makes for a fun little thing. Now, as you can see, if I pull this off real quick and actually bring it to the top so we got better light, we do have the nice little doors here so that your crew can get in and out from these, and it does hold crew. Again, it is a science laboratory, so it requires 2 people in it to actually function, and it does have an internal view, which we'll get to later when I show off my crappy little space station that I built, which is actually my favorite thing about this mod at the moment. All of these labs and internal modules have IVAs, which is just glorious how many you have. It's beautiful. The next part we have is a very large Colossus 2XL dual-axis solar array, which if we pop on here, oh boy, there we go. Let's zoom out a little bit more. This is just a gigantic solar array, which, as you can see, produces a fair amount of electricity at 60 per hour when you have it fully deployed. And if we do go ahead and just extend it real quick, Yeah, that's big. That's a real big solar panel. And I actually quite like it. Now, again, as for design, I'm a little bit kind of weirded out by the fact that it's not centered. I don't know why that was the design choice made, but it kind of bothers me that it's not, like, here where the solar panels actually connect. But, yeah, that's something you'll just have to deal with if you want these gigantic solar panels. Dear God, they are massive. And moving swiftly on, we then have a thermal experiments laboratory, which is quite a bit bigger. Let's actually grab the biology one again, and then go to the bottom and grab the thermal experiment laboratory, which, as you can see, is a fair amount larger, and also different coloration, which, I guess makes sense. If it is a thermal experiment laboratory, it does look a little bit charred. I like it. But yes, again, we have custom experiments, one that's blank right here, apparently, a combustion experiment, a crew report, and again, it is a science lab, so it requires at least 2 crew members, but can hold 3, and again, has 500 data storage. We then have a similar-sized habitation can, and it's actually... yeah, they are comparable in size, but let's chuck that off and put you on. And this particular habitation can, well, it holds a lot of Kerbals. 8 crew in total, and can have the crew report science experiment run. Similar styling and look to the other cans that we have. So yeah, quite good indeed. Let's chuck that one off. We then have a material experiment laboratory, which is, well, another laboratory. And also is quite cool, and I enjoy because it does have a additional attachment point to the side, so you can, you know, attach to the side of it and have other parts coming off of it, which is quite cool. And of course the attachment point on the bottom. And this particular one, it has a nanoparticle observation experiment, a crystallography experiment, and the crew report. This one can hold up to 4 Kerbals, a minimum of 2, and once more the 500 data storage. We then have, if we pull this baby off, a pressurized logistics module, which again does hold 1 particular crew member, and well, it's a pressurized module, so it's a module. It only holds a crew member. It has no functional use right now. But one thing I should actually mention, this mod is still quite early, which I'm impressed by how many parts we have and the quality of them, considering it's version 0.1.6, and one of the things that the mod maker is wanting to do is have all of these parts compatible with a wide variety of other mods, so things like the Kerbal inventory system, USI life support, and even things like station science. So things like this pressurized logistic module may not have a use in vanilla Kerbal Space Program, but with additional mods down the road, it may have a use. Like for logistics, you'd expect this to perhaps have a Kerbal inventory in it, which would make sense, but yes, it fits 1 Kerbal for now and has a very creepy interior, in my opinion. It's very claustrophobic, but works well. We then have a multi-purpose storage module, or as you can see how it's spelled there, stowage module. Again, no proper use for it in-game besides a different look. As you can see, it does have the tapered edges on either side. It does only have 1 door, as you can see right there up at the top. And if we attach to there and look at the bottom is just rounded off, but it does still have an attachment point. But, it might make your Kerbals a little bit more difficult to get through if you block off their door. But yes, it's a nice little module. Again, no proper use for it right now besides aesthetics, but in the future it'll probably have something to do with one of the other mods. Now, we've already looked at the observation module, so let's take a look at the pressurized mating adapter, and this will take your space station from 1.25 meters down to the 0.937 meter parts. And it's just a nice little piece there. I do quite enjoy it and potentially use for a good little docking port. Very cool indeed. We then have an airlock system, which if we pop on there, very nice. As you can see, we have a nice door out here where we can, you know, pop out of. It's an airlock. Now, it does have another attachment point on the top, which you can use to extend your base off a little bit, but the only door is right there. Now, the next part we have, if I can actually grab this, there we go, is a very large structural truss. And this is a semi-hexagonal rigidity structure, and oh dear god, it's gigantic. It's just a ginormous structural part, which is quite cool if you want to, you know, make your base look bigger and more menacing and have all sorts of metal everywhere. It's quite a nice thing. Now, the next two parts are similar in nature, but just with different degrees of sort of exterior paneling. And as you can see on this, it has a lot of attachment points on either side, so you can use them for, well, really anything. Attaching other modules, solar panels, whatever you want. Now, the next one is pretty much a bare. As you can see, it is purely just a giant metal truss, which is quite cool. I do enjoy it. And then finally we have this one, which is sort of in between the two. It's only a half a truss, which actually this one was as well, whereas this one was two-sided. So it has basically both of these combined together in the initial one, and these two are sort of half shells, I guess you could call it. And yes, the final one, quite nice. You got this good little platform. You can do stuff on here. Hollow bit in the middle. Very good. We then have two different hexagonal rigidity structures, this one being with all sorts of different struts going all around for good strength, and then the other one being hollow and a bit smaller, as you can see, and fits quite nicely over the doors, so you can perhaps use it to attach two different sections so your crew can easily EVA out to another section of the space station. Quite nice. We then have this lovely little standardized module bulkhead, which takes the flat surface that we have on a lot of these different crew modules and laboratories and makes it so it's rounded. That's really all that does there, but it does a very good job at it. We then have three parts which are different truss construction systems, which are quite intriguing. Now, these are a different way for you to actually attach your different space station parts together. Normally, you just do it with docking ports and these berthing connectors, but with these, as you can see, these next three parts are all docking nodes, but rather than being your typical sort of docking port, it's some form of structural truss, which is quite interesting. I like that idea. It gives it the same sort of visual appeal of any other structural part of your ship, but in a form of a truss. So as you can see here, we have a nice little sort of full design, we have a half design, and then one which is more of a hollow design. As you can see, all very good, very lovely parts. I do really enjoy them. And then we have the pressurized node, which, oh boy, okay, go down here, we'll attach it right there, and this pressurized node is, well, it is a crew module. It can hold 4 people in it, and it has 4 lovely side attachment nodes so that you can build off your space station in multiple directions. Of course, has an attachment point on the bottom, and overall just helps you really expand outward. And finally, we have the structural control unit, which, as you can see here, has no crew capacity, so one of the few parts in here that doesn't hold crew, but it's a giant reaction wheel, and that's what it is. It's just one very, very large reaction wheel. And actually, it's my favorite part design-wise. It's by far the most unique. And as you can see here, this is sort of the main door into it. And so it can actually be attached. Oh boy, that's the way I wanted it to go. Excellent. Can be attached like that to an end unit very nicely. And does have a few other attachment points on the top and bottom there. As you can see, another rounded bit for moving crew around. And it's just a cool part. Ooh, and does also have 200 monopropellant. Almost forgot about that. But yeah, that is all of the parts of HabTech. So let's actually... Ooh, no, don't save. Don't do that. Cancel. Let's go out to the Space Center and actually check out a space station I built earlier to give you an idea of some of the things that you could potentially do with these mod parts. Now, as I always say, I'm sure you guys could build far more interesting things, and honestly, I probably could have built something far more interesting if I wouldn't have built it within 5 minutes of making the episode, but it's good enough to just show off these parts. As you can see, we have our lovely little cupola module here, which if we... Oh, there's the open shutter button. Look at that. I I just love that. The flowering open of the shutters on it, it just makes me happy. It makes me so happy. We also then, of course, do have our gigantic solar panels. I love how they swing outwards like that and then sort of extend and rotate open. Very, very cool indeed. Just awesome, awesome little parts, though. Why are you angled that way? You are not facing the sun at all, my friend. But, well, what are you going to do? We also then have that large reaction wheel part back here and using it as a connector to drop off another section here. And we have various different scientific and crew modules around using different trusses. And, of course, I'm using those pressurized logistic chambers on either side as docking ports. Overall, a pretty basic little space station, but a very nice one. I quite like it, and the fact that I built this in like 5 minutes with these parts speaks to just how useful and good these parts truly are. If this can be made in 5 minutes, you guys could make something far more impressive given a little bit more time. But let's actually go into the internal views now. There we go. So this is the cupola module. Not exactly the most impressive thing, and it is extraordinarily cramped, which again, because of the size of this thing, you know, it does at least make sense that you'd be very, very cramped in here. We have no controls, which is odd because it is also a command pod. But, I mean, there we go. We have this glorious view. Now, if we... Oh, nope, wrong button. Of course I hit the wrong button. I always do. Let's hit that, and we are in the pressurized node. So, as you can see, we've got the 4 nodes coming off in either direction there, and we got a couple of crew members who apparently have Kerbal Space Program on their own computers in there. Always nice to see. And we have the different docking ports going, or not docking ports, but, I guess just doors going to each of the different sections of the ship. Very nice. And apparently that container there holds Nicolas Cage next to the bees. Huh. Alright, so let's just move through these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lovely. Moving on to, this is one of those pressurized logistic chambers. Very cramped, holds 2 Kerbals, and as you can see, the helmet kind of clips into the wall there. But, yeah, we're awaiting docking, which is good that there's a helmet reminder there. You know, don't want to leave the docking port without your helmet on. Okay, so we got the other one there. We then are in the biology module here. As you can see, we have the different plants growing. We have our science computers, which of course are playing Kerbal Space Program. Our other biologist here, who's reminding themselves not to break Matt Damon, apparently. And potatoes in that one over there. I love it. Very, very good. I didn't notice that before. Oh god, a lot of potatoes and spuds. Wow, intriguing. All right. So the next is, oh, this is the creepy one. This is, oh god, why am I forgetting which one it is now? But the one module I told you early can only hold 1 crew member and is just claustrophobic. Oh boy, it kind of creeps me out in here. But let's, oh, was this the, I'm really seriously forgetting which part this is now. Wow. Is it the airlock? Oh god, I don't remember. Moving swiftly on. We have our other guy here. We have then, this is one of the other labs. I'm forgetting exactly which one, but a very nice lab. Though considering marshmallows and analysis kits, I doubt it's the explosion one. But yeah, just a lovely little module. Just such beautiful internal views in this thing. I absolutely love it. We've got our 2 other people here. Lovely. We got a lot of ice cream in this place. Very nice. Oh yeah, probably not good to break the life support. Definitely keep hands off of that. Here is the habitation module, which again is kind of creepy because you just have all these people in the walls here. But yes, this is the habitation module with the 8 crew members total. Each of them actually does have their different little alcove with a different thing in it, so they've each got different pictures, which is a little hard to see with the Kerbal eyes right there next to me. But it's quite nice. I do enjoy it. It looks like we have the Kraken there. Lovely, lovely. Fond memories of the Kraken. And yeah, just 8 different habitation modules right here. It'd be nice if we could float around perhaps one day. But that is it for the internals. I do believe I forgot to attach one of the science labs onto here, but they all have those same beautiful views and those same beautiful internals. And overall, it's just such a lovely, lovely mod. So if you'd like to check it out for yourself, definitely take a look at the link in the description, as always. And yeah, if you make any really cool space stations with it, I would love to see them. So send me a picture on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. And of course, I do hope that you guys have enjoyed this episode today and that you come back for the next. But until then, thank you for watching. And as always, have a good one.